Hello NBA fans and welcome back to another video here on the NBA the week that was. Today with us we have our favorite guest here on this channel, Suyash. He's back for another video. Today we'll be stealing the King of the Fourth Quarter's video idea where we'll be building lineups based off these graphics. I think you guys have seen them on Instagram, Twitter, bunch of places. So this is the first one we'll be doing where you build your best international lineup with $15, and then we'll do a more intense one that took Suyash and I forever to plan out.
Seriously, our Zoom call is right now 30 minutes and we've just started recording.
So yeah, you can tell that we thought a lot about these lineups, and that will be more historical and like all-time greats, while this is just modern international players.
Yeah.
So Suyash, let's get started. Let's build our best international lineup with $15.
All right.
Who will be playing point guard for you for your team?
So for point guard, I actually have 3 players on my roster who could run the point guard. But because that's how the game is now, right? You have everyone who can, especially with the Warriors, right? You had Steph and Draymond. Mm-hmm. So I'm going for a similar type of flow. Okay. I'm going with someone who was insane in the bubble. And so I'm going for $3, I'm going for Jamal Murray, hoping he can play that good.
He hasn't really lived up to the hype this year with the bubble, what he did in the bubble playoffs, but he definitely has the ability, and if it's crunch time, I would want the ball in Jamal Murray's hands.
Exactly.
So similar to you, I have multiple ball handlers on my team. I would say 2 number 1 options on my team, but
yeah, me too.
Official point guard who is a listed point guard and has the height of a point guard, I'm only spending $1. I'm going with Dennis Schroeder. He was a former Hawks player. I'm aware of his game. You're a Thunder fan. You know.
Yeah, we both love him.
Yeah, and he's a high energy player. He has great energy. He has such a good ability to get to the rim. I feel like it's very underrated. He can get past almost anyone. And then when he's locked in on defense, like I've seen him put in the hustle. So I really like Schroeder, especially how he's revived his career. Sort of in Atlanta, it was kind of declining, but then he picked it up with the Thunder, and now he's looking great with the Lakers and poised for another ring. So I have Schroeder as my point guard. So now, do you have any player in the shooting guard position?
I do. When looking at this graphic, I actually knew I wanted this player because, as I said, I have 3 ball handlers. This is my second, and probably my main. Not my main. Jamal Murray is probably still the main ball handler. But I'm going with the person who's miles better than anyone else in the shooting guard column. I don't think it's close. Okay, the star of the future, I'm going with Luka Doncic for $5.
Yeah.
So, now I have $3 and $5. I've had to cut a lot in later parts, so you'll see that. Yeah.
I also have Luka Doncic. I would disagree with you. Even as I wouldn't have Schroeder as my main ball handler. I would have Luka and for you too with Jamal Murray. I think he's a great catch and shoot guy and has a great 2-man game with Jokic. And I really feel that he could recreate that with Doncic as well. So I would give Doncic the ball, let him do his thing. He's magical to watch. I will always think about a trade that my Hawks made. I love Trae Young.
Trae Young is great. Okay. Trae Young is
Cam Reddish lives up to his potential. That's a whole nother video. I can go on hours and hours about that topic.
Yeah.
But Doncic is going to be the face of the NBA. He's a great player, great guy. Doncic is. I actually have another shooting guard in my team. So I went with the sort of modern approach to the game, emphasis on shooting. I went with Buddy Hield, one of the more underrated 3-point shooters in the league. I feel with his rift with Luke Walton and the Kings, like he's kind of fallen off the radar, but he's still a great scorer, especially shooter. And with Doncic having the ball, he'll find him, and Buddy Hield has a great off-ball game, and I think that'll really benefit for this team. And he plays tough.
Exactly. I agree because honestly, if we look at the small forward row, there's not much star power other than probably the $5 option, right? Siakam's great, but look at the other $5 options. I don't think he's worth $5. That's why when looking at my small forward, honestly, I'll give you a little insight. When I was building my team, I originally had Luka as my main ball handler. So I was looking for a shooting guard with $3. So because I had $3 left to spend, so I was thinking between Jamal Murray and Buddy Hield. And definitely both are great options. I think Jamal Murray is a slightly better defender, even though he's shorter.
I would say so. Hield sometimes has like the energy problem, you could say. Like he doesn't give his heart out, but maybe if he's in a situation where he can win.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
We may get to see it, but that's why because you were also looking for someone in the small forward range.
Yeah.
I was not looking for my small forward. I was looking for my off guard with Luka. Because for my small forward, I've gone big.
Oh.
I've gone the 2 stars of the NBA in the future.
Oh.
I've gone for the player whose jersey I'm wearing right now. I've gone for Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Okay.
And I'm telling you, with Giannis, Luka, and Jamal Murray, there's going to be a lot of passing. There's going to be finding a lot of the open man. And I have practically surrounded Giannis with shooters, which is what you want to do with Giannis. So sure. I think.
So you spent $13 on 3 players.
I've spent $13, so you can probably guess who I have next.
I can sort of guess, yeah.
Because I am fourth.
Yeah, so that's 3 players for you so far, right? I've already had 3 Doncic, Hield, and Shooter. So why don't you tell me who your 4th player is?
So I think I'll just break down my next 2 because it's kind of obvious. So I'm left with $2, and I can't go for $0. I've gone Ibaka and Marc Gasol, and let me tell you why this is a steal. This is every player in their prime. Marc Gasol in his prime is as good as, like, I'd say, like, he's better than Vucevic. I think he's like around the Gobert.
Player of the year.
Exactly, he was the defensive player of the year. He can shoot. I think he was perfect. And then Ibaka, I love Ibaka, like, as a Thunder fan, but and I think Ibaka is great because it adds the defense, adds the shooting, and that's exactly what I need from my big man. I don't need them to do anything special because I have Luka Doncic and Giannis, right? They can literally do everything, right? So I just need 2 tall people who can defend and shoot the ball, and that's literally what they are. So that's why my full lineup is Jamal Murray, Luka Doncic, Giannis, Serge Ibaka, and Marc Gasol.
That's a big lineup in terms of size. Like, you got Jamal Murray being your smallest player. He's like 6'4" too. So
6'4", then Luka 6'6".
Yeah, 6'6". Yeah,
6'11".
Yeah,
6'10".
And Mark 7. So
Mark 7.
Yeah. If you don't mind, I think that's a great team. I definitely see like why your approach to it. I just feel like Luka isn't the best shooter. He like shoots in volume, but he's not consistent yet. You never know. That might be the next step in his career. Same with Ibaka. Like, they're decent shooters, but I just feel like that's a bit too much size. I don't know. That's just me thinking from like a modern standpoint. With all the like small guards these days, even though Gasol has been a defensive player of the year, he's best in the paint. Same with Ibaka. He's not the best perimeter defender. So I think the paint might get a bit congested even on offense. Like, Gasol is best in the paint, like with his pick and roll game. Same with Giannis. And Luka also is best in the paint. So it would be interesting. It could definitely work, but that's just my one. I'm thinking about it from a modern standpoint, and it's not the lineup that you would see in the modern NBA.
Yeah, I guess because Mark isn't the most agile big in the league, right?
Yeah.
But I still think having him in the post, I think Ibaka can stretch the floor decently well, especially like compared to the $2 option. Like, I think he's a better shooter than Al. Al was a decent shooter.
Al was a good shooter in his prime.
Al was a good shooter.
As a Hawks fan, I know that guy's had some big
Yeah. Al can shoot.
Yeah.
Okay? I think Serge is on par with him. And I was going like in the Thunder era with like Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant, right?
Yeah.
That's the role that Serge was playing. So and I think defensively,
you're set. You have 2 defensive players of the years.
2 defensive and Serge Ibaka.
Yeah. That's a good lineup. Okay, so to finish mine out, I would say the offense. I have Ibaka as well. I took him for his. I don't think he was the best shooter for the Thunder, but for the Raptors and now for the Clippers, he's been a really good shooter.
Exactly.
His defense is obviously valuable in the post.
Yeah.
But I went with Jokic. So I have Doncic and Jokic along with Shooter, Hield, and Ibaka. So my theory is let Doncic and Jokic run the 2-man game with Hield, Schroeder, and Ibaka as shooters. But Schroeder has the ability to cut in, uses great driving ability, get to the paint. Ibaka can use his post-up game, and Doncic, if he improves his three-point shot, let Jokic handle the ball. So I just feel Jokic and Doncic are two of the top 5 offensive talents in the league right now.
Yeah.
That might be a bit of a stretch. Top 10.
I'd say top 10 comfortably.
Top 10 comfortably.
Yeah.
Top 5 could be a stretch, but with the way Jokic has been playing this season, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But I just think that team, okay, not the strongest defensively. It's guys that play with heart, but not the physicality. They don't have the
exactly. Yeah. So the way I was thinking that is like, especially the speed in this lineup. Other than Dennis Schroeder, of course, he's like fast. Yeah. But like with Hield, Luka, who isn't the fastest.
Luka and Hield are like, they're your average.
Yeah, Luka and Hield are average.
Jokic and
Ibaka and Jokic, even compared to their positions, aren't the most agile.
Yeah.
I mean, neither is Gasol, right? But I think maybe like both the defense and the athleticism could be a problem with that team.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tough to build a perfect team. Obviously, if you would build a perfect team, you'd build everyone in the first row, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe I would pick Shea over Ben Simmons, and I'm not gonna for not in general, but for the team. For the team, not in general.
Yeah.
But for the team, in order to space the floor and everything. So.
Yeah. I mean, I think like both our teams have their strengths and weaknesses. Like my team offensively will kill every team every night. Your team is very well rounded.
Yeah.
So it would be interesting. But yeah, I feel happy about the teams we've built. So again, you guys will probably see on the screen. I'll have some graphic where I have who our teams were and our final selections were. But yeah, that's it for the international.
Yeah, let us know if you want to let us know in the comment section who
your lineup will be.
Please let us know, especially also with the second lineup.
Yeah.
Second lineup took a lot of time.
Yeah. Okay. So let's get right.
Let's move on.
Yep. And here we have it. So this is the graphic that you can see is very big, like way bigger than the one that we just did.
Yeah.
It has modern era, classic era, antique era. So do you want to quickly explain the rules? They're at the top.
Yeah, the rules, the big rule that really I think made both of us like really think about this is the main rule is you cannot pick more than 2 players from one era. So if let's say I wanted Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green, and Joel Embiid, I couldn't pick them because they're all from the modern era. So basically, we're forced to pick 2 players from one era, 2 players from another, and 1 player from another era. So that was tough. But there's also no position restrictions. You can play whoever at whatever position you want. If you want to play Yao Ming at the 1, go for it. But I wouldn't. And it's modern rules, so there is a 3-point line. So even though some of these players in the bottom row might not have played during the 3-point line, they're playing right now at the 3-point line. And of course, there's no hand checking and all of that. So modern rules of basketball.
And they're all
in their primes.
Yeah. All right. So do we want to go? I'm assuming we both have 2 from the modern, 2 from classic, and 1 from antique.
Correct. We both. Yes.
Do we want to do our 2 modern, then 2 classic, then 1 antique, or do we want to go position?
Let's go position wise.
Okay.
Let's go point guard.
All right. You want to start?
Yeah. So at point guard, I was thinking. So I had 2 options in my mind. I was thinking between 2 people, and my people were for $1, a steal in my opinion, Derrick Rose. And like prime Derrick Rose. 23-year-old MVP. I thought he would be amazing, especially for $1. I thought he was a complete steal. However, I was forced not to pick him because of the position restriction. Not the position, the era restrictions. Because I wanted 2 more people from the modern era.
So
instead,
over Derrick Rose for your lineup, they're more important, you would say.
I'd say they're not better players. I won't say they're better players. I'd say they fit with the lineup better, and they work as a lineup better, especially because, as you saw with my last list, I went with size. I think size is really important in order to guard any type of offense. because defense, I placed a pretty. I thought I would play a pretty pay a premium for defense, but it ended up being a weaker defensive team, but what I think is a great offensive team. So instead, I went to the classic era for my point guard.
Okay.
And I looked past the point guard column. I looked at the shooting guard column, and for $3, I picked Penny Hardaway. Because Penny Hardaway played point guard most of his career. Okay, and with Shaq especially, I thought he is amazing. He can play make, he can play defense, and that's all I need from him. I don't need him to score the basketball.
Yeah,
and he's tall. He's 6'7".
Yeah,
he's tall. He plays defense, and he can pass the ball. And that's all I need from my point guard.
Shooter. So
and he can shoot if he's open. Yeah. But I don't need him to create his own shot because of the players I have at other positions.
Very interesting.
What about you, Rob?
So I've grown up, both of us have grown up in the era where the Warriors dominated basketball. So for me, I definitely feel that it's a great way to build a team. My Atlanta Hawks are trying to follow that formula. I definitely think that's the way to go, where you have a transcendent star who can shoot the ball extremely well and have great players who suit his game around him. So for my point guard, I went with the face of the Warriors. I went with $6, Stephen Curry. I went with Stephen Curry, one of the best players of all time. I just think with the formula, I will admit I used the Warriors formula in building this team. So I went with Stephen Curry as my $6 point guard, the leader of my team. I'll continue for my second player, shooting guard from the modern era. I went with Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson is one of my favorite players of all time. I have massive respect for the guy. I feel really bad that he's out injured, but that's besides the point. Him and Steph are one of the best backcourt duos ever. One of the best duos, regardless of backcourt ever. Like overall, he suits his game, Steph's games perfectly. And with the other players I have in this lineup, Steph and Klay are two of the greatest shooters in general, but also off-ball shooters. So I definitely feel that they'll benefit from other players I've selected. And Klay Thompson is one of the best defenders in the NBA right now, perimeter defender. So I think I went with the Warriors backcourt, and it was an interesting.
That's a lot of money you spent.
Yeah,
that's $9 already out of the $15. Wow. So I actually went a budget backcourt. I went the opposite because especially with all these great players, I thought in the older times the bigs were really important. But honestly, when I was looking at the bigs, I couldn't find many cheap ones that I really wanted on my team. Mm-hmm. So I spend more money on my wings and my on other players. I went for a more all-around player, and I was thinking the same logic as my Derrick Rose. I was thinking a player who got injured way too early, someone who could have been amazing.
I think I know.
Someone who had incredible potential. And with my shooting guard from the modern era, I picked for $2 Brandon Roy. Because Brandon Roy offensively was incredible, and he could have been amazing. We don't know what he could have been, but unfortunately we didn't get to see. But because this is assuming all players at peak, as you can see in the top left, I think Brandon Roy could be the scorer that Penny Hardaway needs to as his off guard, and Brandon Roy is pretty tall as well, so I think they'd complement each other pretty well.
And very interesting. You wanna? You're building an interesting team. This is fun.
I'm building a very interesting. I think with my third one, I thought this one was the biggest steal out of everyone. I think it's a bigger steal than Derrick Rose. Because you're getting, in my opinion, one of the greatest scorers in NBA history for $1. And I'm picking Carmelo Anthony in his prime.
Yeah.
Okay. Be my main scorer. Okay. And people say, oh, he's selfish and everything, but in when he had good teammates around him, he was passing the ball. He was being a good team player. Yeah. And unfortunately, he was stuck on the Knicks. So, but even looking at him play now, obviously he's not gonna play the role that I want him to play, like what he's playing now. But I want prime Carmelo Anthony. I want the score at will, the pass to him that's 2 to 3 points of possession, Carmelo Anthony, and that's what I'm picking for my $1.
So how much have you spent so far?
No, I've spent very less money. I've spent $6. I spent as much as you spent on Steph Curry for 3 of my players.
So you value your big men.
I value my 2 positions coming up.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see. So now that I have Steph and Klay, I've spent $9. So I actually went to the antique era for my next pick.
Yeah.
$3 shooting guard, Sam Jones of the Boston Celtics. He was part of that dominant era with Bill Russell, where they just couldn't stop winning rings, and Bob Cousy as well. Yeah. But Sam Jones, unfortunately, I think he passed away recently. But he was never the main guy because Bill Russell was there. But he was always he was a decent shooter. I mean, shooting wasn't there, but he had a great field goal percentage. He was very efficient, a great free throw shooter. So I'm assuming because he was a good free throw shooter, he would have been a good 3-point shooter if he played in the modern era. He was very physical, played great defense, had relative height. He was around 6'5", 6'6". And I think with Steph and Klay, again, he would be like the guy who would be their slasher, you know? Like Steph can get to the rim. Klay's going to be the shooter. Let Sam Jones be like that, way better version of Harrison Barnes in the sense that, you know, a second scorer for Steph who can play on the ball, a secondary playmaker in the sense, not a passer, just a guy who can create his own shot. So I went with Sam Jones.
I see where you're going with this. I think I like that pick.
Yeah.
But the only thing that was halting me from picking some of these older players, like George Mikan, for example, is I'm afraid that their numbers were inflated because of the time they played in, right? And since it is modern rules and in the modern era, so I was a little nervous because Sam Jones didn't play at the time of the 3-point line. Right, he was very efficient, but we don't know how he would play now. So that's why even with my antique era player, I wanted to go with someone who I know could play well now, because I don't think their style would have to change too much. So while I think that's a great pick because he was a great defender, and I think that would work very well with Klay, especially. I was personally avoiding some players from that region.
That makes sense. I see that. But even if he doesn't, he isn't the most efficient, we don't need him to be the main scorer. We need him to play good defense and make the right decisions. He's a very intelligent player. Yeah, I think he ended up coaching as well, so it proves his intelligence. So playing alongside Steph, that would be a big benefit for him. Yeah.
Sure. Would you like to?
Yeah, I'll continue. So now I have $3 left for 2 players, and both of these players came from the classic era.
I think I know where you're going.
Yeah, my $2 pick. This is the guy I think is the steal that I have. It's James Worthy. He played with he was in the Magic Johnson Kareem era of the Lakers. He was actually a number 1 pick, but he was always forgotten. He was the ideal, how they say some players are coaches players. Always playing for the team. That's what James Worthy was. A great playmaker for his position. Not the best shooter. Not the best. He wasn't a flashy player, but he did everything right. Fundamentally one of the best players of all time. And he's going to play the Draymond role, essentially.
Exactly. I was about to say he's the better Draymond Green.
Yeah, the extremely better Draymond Green. Great defender, great playmaker. Steph, Klay running around the 3-point line with James Worthy feeding them the ball. It'll be a joy to watch. So James Worthy is I would say my biggest steal that I'm quite happy about.
All right, yeah. So he's really going the Warriors route.
Yeah, I really just
on the Warriors route.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I want to go. As you can see, I haven't spent much money so far. Yeah. And this is where I wanted to splash.
So how much do you have left? 9 for 2 players?
I have $9 left.
For 2 players.
Okay. And when thinking of my power forward and looking at the power forwards I couldn't look in the era because I've used my players for the modern era.
Yep.
I've used Melo and Brandon Roy.
Yeah.
And then I was looking at the classic era and the antique era.
Yeah.
I didn't honestly like anyone in the antique era at all for my power forward.
Yeah.
They're all great players. I just don't feel they would fit with my play style. In the classic era, I liked a couple. I liked Dennis Rodman. I liked Karl Malone, but honestly, I wasn't willing to spend that much money on them.
Yeah.
I wanted someone who I knew could do everything. I wanted someone who could score the ball at will, who could play excellent defense, but who could also play make.
Yeah.
And for $6, I'm going with Larry Bird to play at my power forward. Because I know Larry Bird can play at the power forward. And people look at him as like, oh, he's not that athletic. But if you actually watch some of the stuff he played, he was very physical. Yeah. He was very athletic. He's known as one of the most notorious trash talkers of all time. Yeah. So I think he's gonna do everything that I need him to do. And when Melo can't score, Larry Bird, and when Melo is in a bad mood, Larry Bird's gonna push him to be in a good mood again.
So he's the leader.
Yeah, he's gonna, and those two I think can score like 30 a game. Especially in the modern era, Larry Bird's one of the best shooters of all time.
Yeah.
And he can honestly do everything. That's why I wanted him, and especially because defense as well. Because some of my players so far has been lacking slightly on defense. I think he can play great defense. So.
For sure. So you, so far, just to recap, you have Brandon Roy, Penny Hardaway, Carmelo, Larry Bird.
Larry Bird.
This is a very that like none of these players even crossed my mind when I don't know. I just committed to the.
None of your players crossed my mind. I looked past Steph Curry. I looked past Klay Thompson.
Yeah. So now I have my final pick. So I've built the Warriors essentially like the core three. I got Steph, Klay, the actual ones, and then I got a better Draymond. So now I think one player that
need a better Bogut.
Huh? Yeah, even better Bogut. Exactly. They always lacked the premier rim protector. I mean, Draymond, one of the best defensive players I would say right now, but he was like he lacks size. So we're gonna replace Bogut of that 2015-2016 Warriors team that should have won a ring with 73 wins, but we're gonna replace Bogut. And like Festus Ezeli, I think, was their other center. And well, Maurice Spates, I remember we used to joke about him.
Oh yeah, Mo Spates. Yeah.
But how about like Dikembe Mutombo, one of the best shot blockers of all time, great rebounder. He'll fit well. He'll run a decent pick and roll with Steph, but I don't need him to score at all. I got 4 guys who can score for me if they need to.
And add size to your team.
Huh? Yeah, exactly.
Dikembe was 7'2", 7'1".
Yeah.
7'1". Yeah.
No. We want all of that.
Yeah. We all know about that one.
I think
because everyone else on your team is 6'7" or shorter. So
and Worthy is 6'9".
6'9"?
Yeah,
oh, okay.
So Worthy was a great player. He just always was never in the spotlight because of him playing with Kareem and Magic Johnson. So
honestly, you've actually perfectly rebuilt the Warriors.
I've built the Warriors to be better, and I think if it's the modern era, that team won. I mean, they had Kevin Durant, which is a whole nother story. Sure. But I'm happy I built my team around Steph. I rebuilt the Warriors. I think this team is set up for success both offensively and defensively.
Yeah, for sure. And so for me, I'm left with a center. And I'm left with $3, and I'm forced to pick one from the antique era.
Yeah.
There's 3 good options. Dave Cowens, I wanted to avoid because of size.
Yeah.
I think size is very important. He's a great player. He's good defensively. Could match with Larry Bird well, but I didn't want Larry Bird to be like taller than my center. Right?
Yeah.
Mikan is a great player. The first really good player, Mr. Basketball.
Yeah.
But again, as I said earlier, I was worried about the transition to the modern era. Yeah. So for $3, I went with a 2-time MVP, an all-defensive team player. Yeah. I went with Willis Reed. And I thought he didn't even play that long ago. It's like 80s, 70s, which means I think he can transition well. And all I need him to do is get rebounds, play defense, and score a little bit in post. Yeah. And that's what he'll do. Yeah. 2-time MVP for $3 at center. Yeah. I think is great. Then however many MVPs Larry Bird has 3, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and then you don't know how many MVPs Brandon Roy could have had. Yeah, he stayed healthy. So I think my team can score the basketball.
Yeah.
Very well.
So I think, do you want to explain like what you thought about while building? Like for me, like I had the Warriors formula in mind, but what did you want?
I was going for, when I was first thinking, I was going for size and defense. So I was actually looking a lot at Scottie Pippen, Grant Hill, Dennis Rodman.
Yeah.
I like Joe Dumars, but again, they're all from the classic era.
Yeah.
Right. Then from the modern era, I like the Yao Ming for $1. Yeah. I like Embiid at $3. I like Draymond. I wanted Draymond.
Yeah.
And then I didn't want a guard from the antique era because there's like the game's changed so much. Other than Oscar Robertson, who I think could still play, but I wasn't willing to spend $6.
I would argue that Pete Maravich and Havlicek.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. My bad. Yeah. Pete Maravich, sure, but I was going for defense.
Yeah.
But I did lack a little. I think Brandon Roy and Melo's defense are not as good, but like I think Penny Hardaway, Larry Bird, and Willis Reed would combat that.
Yeah.
So that's what I went. I didn't have a formula of a team to follow, but I was looking for who I could get, who could both score the basketball and play good defense. And with the Brandon Roy, Derrick Rose, I wanted to go for players who you don't know what they could have done. So, it's kind of sad I didn't get a Derrick Rose, but I think it's a better team with Penny Hardaway.
Definitely. I completely see where you built your team from, and then obviously I followed strength and numbers, Golden State Warriors for my formula. But yeah, that's what we have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Again, for this lineup or this graphic as well, please let us know in the comments.
For sure. And if you have a better team, let us know. Remember to follow the only 2 players from each other. Otherwise, it gets easier. It gets way easier. It gets way easier. Significantly easier.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, that's all I have for we have for you today. Suyash, anything else or?
Oh, thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Hopefully I can be here again.
Yeah, for sure. You're the #1 guest. So, all right, I'll catch you guys on the next episode. Thank you.